Nathan Russo, and when I had the initial idea for this protest with my friend, we joked that we might be the only two people that show up. I told him, even if that's the case, this is necessary. Why is it necessary, you may ask? As I'm sure you are all well aware, a few days ago, George Floyd was ruthlessly killed at the hands of one Derek Chauvin. Floyd had his neck kneeled on for 8 minutes and 46 seconds before succumbing to the weight and dying. 3 other officers, Thomas Lane, Alexander Chewing, and Tao Theao, stood idly by and watched Derek crush Floyd to death, while bystanders pleaded and while Floyd himself tried to gasp for air and yelled out, "I can't breathe." I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing innocent black men and women murdered at the hands of those sworn to protect them. I'm tired of seeing bad officers desecrate the badge for those who do their job exceptionally well. And I'm tired of stories like George Floyd's being a headline that will be forgotten. The time to end this vicious cycle is now. When George Floyd was murdered, I felt powerless. But then I realized that I have a voice and that I could do something. That is why we are all here today. We all have voices and the ability to give our energy to a movement, to something that's going to change our community, change our state, change our country. This march signals to the rest of the world that we stand together, united with Black Lives Matter, to campaign against violence and systematic racism towards black men and women. It shows that racism is not an opinion, and that all 4 officers involved in George Floyd's death be prosecuted to the highest degree. And lastly, everyone's voice who cannot be heard today, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Philando Castile, and many others affected by these tragedies are not forgotten. Thank you.
First of all, man, thank you so much for organizing this. This is amazing. Nobody expected this many people, but you know what? We shouldn't be surprised, because we've got to be out here. Despite everything that is happening, despite this pandemic, we've got to be out here. Now look, I've lived a lot. I've seen a lot of stuff in my life. A lot that makes me uncertain about a lot of things. But I'll tell you something I'm absolutely certain about. That what happened to George Floyd in Minnesota, what happened to Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, what happened to a lot of the other men and women on that list that this young woman is holding, could not have happened to me. And before we say anything, before we do anything, we've got to acknowledge the racism that still persists in this country that allows it to happen to any of our fellow Americans. Now, I'll tell you something else, and this shouldn't surprise us with the number of people who are out here, and that is that the vast majority of the American people agree with us. They are here with us in spirit. The vast majority of us agree that what happened to Mr. Floyd was wrong and that those who did it need to be held accountable. The vast majority agree we not only have the right to peacefully protest, we are right to protest. And I mean everybody. I've seen all across this country, I've seen police officers take the knee with protesters and join people who are demanding justice and accountability. And I want to thank our Chief of Police for being here with us today for protection and solidarity. Now, it's important that we remember that we are united. We are for peace. We don't want anybody destroying our communities. We don't want anybody burning anything down. We want to be peacefully protesting. It's important to remember we are united on that because there's something else happening in America right now, simultaneously. And that is that there are people, there are organized forces that are trying to pit us against each other. They are trying to pit us black against white, civilians against police, people against their government. They are trying to take advantage of this moment to start a war.
Yes, sir.
You see them online. Do not follow those people. You see them in the highest positions in this country trying to pour gasoline on this fire rather than the water that it needs. Do not follow them. So we need leadership right now. And this is not a Republican or a Democratic thing. This is about basic things. Decency, telling the truth, respecting the law and the Constitution of this country, treating people right, taking responsibility rather than blaming others. I want to hear from the director of the FBI about what's really happening at these protests. I don't want to just hear about it from the president's Twitter feed. We need real facts, real information, so we can calm things down in this country. And you will see me supporting legislation to restore Justice Department authority to oversee police departments that have done things that are wrong. You're going to see me on legislation to stop the transfer of military equipment to police departments around this country. We don't need tanks and APCs. What we need is trust. What we need is the kind of trust that our local police departments here in New Jersey work hard to build with the people of the communities that they are sworn to protect. That's what we need. That is what I'm going to be working for. And I'm so glad to see so many young people who are part of this cause. And I don't want you to be dispirited right now. I do not want you to give up for 1 minute, because there are some bad things happening in our country now. There are some depressing things happening, but look at how people are coming together. And out of crisis, out of anxiety, out of fear, sometimes that is when we make progress. Because people recognize we can't take anything for granted. We can't trust some leader to save us. We can save ourselves. We can take upon ourselves the responsibilities of citizenship, the most important job in the United States of America. So with that, thank you all for being here. You'll never stop. I'm proud to see you.
I am Reverend Gladys Moore, pastor, one of the pastors of St. John's Lutheran Church and the convener of the Summit Interfaith Council Anti-Racism Committee. We are here because we know that racism and white supremacy in this country have got to stop. We are here because we need to say no more. And as wonderful, and it is amazing to see all of us here, we are also here to say rallies and marches are not enough. We need to know our history. We need to work together to change the present so that you all and your children and your children's children can have a future where we don't have to gather like this.
Hello everyone, I'm Nora Radist, I'm your mayor, and I'm very grateful. Thank you, that was very nice. But I'm very grateful to Ethan, to all of you for coming out today, to our police officers and Chief Bartolotti who worked with Ethan to make sure that we have a very peaceful march today. And I am going to echo what Reverend Moore just said. You know, I see a lot of signs that says silence is complicity, and you're absolutely right. So it's important to speak out, but it's important to vote. That is speaking out. So I love you all. I could not be more proud of Summit and Summit High School and all of our residents and business people. So thank you and enjoy this, and let's make a difference.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Bartolotti. I am the police chief in Summit. I'm not going to take much of your time because it's your voice that we're all here for, not mine. On behalf of the police department, I do want to say that we recognize that during certain times, there are bad people throughout this country that put on a uniform. And I assure you that law enforcement is the largest group out there that doesn't take bad cops lightly. Nobody likes a bad cop more than a good cop. And I assure you that in Summit, these are the good cops. We want to do everything that we can to protect all of you and to make sure that there is a partnership with everybody and making sure that everyone has a voice on every matter. Thank you and good luck out there.
Black